As far as sprint car racing goes, Murray Bridge was about as good as it gets.
Closing laps, 3 drivers fighting for the lead.
Dylan down low, Tatnell goes to the outside.
Great race, great win for Brooke Tatnell.
Tatnell's 70th World Series victory ended the losing streak for Cricket Motorsport. And the 8-time champ was keen to show the world he's still got it.
Someone says they're changing a guard. Kiss that, boys.
The teams are now ready for a 3rd consecutive night of racing. The track, Mount Gambier's Borderline Speedway. It's the venue where the defending champ started his hot streak last season.
James McFadden gets his first win for the season.
Roll on, round 3. Enzed World Series Sprint Cars presented by Hogsbreath Cafe and Carline has arrived in Mount Gambier, and for the 3rd straight night we have a monster crowd, but they've all had to pack the jackets and blankets because we have cold and windy conditions here at this picturesque little bull ring. But with all that aside, let's check out the championship points. A win and a 2nd for both Lyons and Tatnell so far, but Lyons has collected more points throughout time trials and heats, so that's why he's leading the way right now. Also, what's interesting here is that despite not really firing yet, James McFadden is still in 4th, which is higher than he was last season coming into Mount Gambier. The other big talking point is tonight's entry list, as we have a few big-name Victorians joining us here near the border. 47 sprint cars in total, so Bryony Ingerson, it's going to be a busy night.
Chad, we're entering our 3rd straight night of racing, and as you can imagine, teams are looking a little tired today. As you mentioned, we're joined by a host of Aussie hotshots here tonight, as well as one very well-credentialed American driver. Californian native Brad Sweet is not only a veteran of America's World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, he's also competed in selected NASCAR truck and nationwide events. He's teaming up with the Roos brothers for his first sprint car campaign in Australia since 2008.
Yeah, the Roos brothers put together a deal for me to come over here, and they brought my cars that I ran this season for Casey Kane Racing, so excited. I didn't have to remount my seat or do anything crazy, so I think the last time I raced this car was at the King's Royal, and then we put it away, and then they bought it. We brought it over here, so excited to be back.
Compatriot Randy Hannigan had a top 10 finish in Adelaide, but was unlucky not to make the show in Murray Bridge, coming up painfully short in completing the alphabet run.
Well, we're just like any other competitor. We come here to win, you know what I mean? You know, running 2nd, you know, it's like kissing your sister. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm not from Kentucky.
James McFadden's title defence has got off to a solid but somewhat lacklustre start. The defending champ admits he has more work to do.
You know, I'm happy with the car speed. I'm just not happy with the results. I don't think the results have shown where we actually are as a team right now. But it's a lot better than how we started last year, so things could be on the rise for us.
Yeah, he's a multiple race winner here at Borderline Speedway, so let's see if the Aussie champ can kick-start his night in style.
So the journey for those 47 drivers will begin with car line qualifying. 2 laps around this Mount Gambier circuit in a time trial format. Let's check out the highlights. Tricky conditions for qualifying, really. The cushion outside of turn 4 caught a few out, including Nick Lacey just scraping the wall. The 2 that went out and were 1st and 2nd, James McFadden and Luke Dillon. J-Mac laid down a quick time almost a few seconds later. Dillon went under that time, only a few hundredths in it, and 3rd time in a row. 3 from 3 for Luke Dillon, and the Diamond Bay Motorsport guys are looking very quick tonight. So with that in mind, coming into the heats and now an eventual A main potentially for Luke Dillon, does this mean that he should play his joker card? He's been very quick so far, but the heats is where his journey will begin.
And so we're out there right now for heat race action at Borderline Speedway, Mount Gambier, a beautiful little raceway. Let's look back at an earlier heat race action here with Luke Dillon playing the joker card tonight, Johnny Gibson.
Dillon with a chance to double his point score on the evening, but Luke Nash with a problem on the top of turn 4 spins to a stop.
Yeah, not so Matt Eagle. He flew to a good win here at Borderline to open up his account. As we take a look at your heat race action right now, this will be a cracker, always busy around Borderline Speedway. They shouldn't call it Borderline. They're always on the red line around this place. Johnny Gibson, here we go. Heat race action with Taylor Milling on the front row. And Ricky Maiolo dropping to the bottom on the low side out of 2. Oh, Keller goes around. Jake Smith gets into him in the Mapunga Crane 72. Did Brazier help him just there?
Yeah, I think Gary Brazier got into the back of Brad Keller's 19 as we take a look at the replay.
Oh, yeah. Just a little bit. Oh, how lucky was Madsen to get through that. And unfortunately, Jake in that 72 grinds to a halt, one of the newcomers of the game. Got a bit of a Dumsney connection with that team too. Max Dumsney's nephew, Jake, working on that car.
Stack the field up side by side, try to start once again. Ricky Maiolo on the top of the racetrack cuts down to the bottom to grab the early lead.
Great run for Delamont around the outside of Taylor Milling. Adam King out of Portland in that number 48 car. Brazier through the middle, Caruso down low.
Caruso thought about going to the inside of the speedway, but gathered it back in, went back to the top. Brazier slipping and sliding. It's a little slick out there at borderline right now.
Robbie Farr, a man who's plenty of experience around this racetrack in that high-tech oils, number 7, working behind this battle between the 21 and the 10 of Gary Brazier and Stephen Caruso. King now just in front of Brazier. Good crowd at this beautiful little venue.
Brazier to the bottom, now out to the outside. Farr slides up high and Caruso gets back by.
Oh, look at that. Robbie goes back on the inside. We're set for some good racing tonight already. It's slide job central.
Track starting to get really, really wide early on. Just have to worry about it maybe taking rubber early here this evening, but I'm sure they'll do their best to keep that from happening. Meanwhile, Farr sets his sights on the 48 of King.
Yeah, when Johnny Gibson says about taking rubber, it means it's going to start to, as we see right now, smoke coming off the tyres. The track is abrasive, it's very black. It's going to start to wear out their tread. That's going to start costing teams money.
And it's also going to make the track very, very fast. The lap times will continue to decrease as the track gets stickier from that burned off rubber.
Watching Farr, working at number 7, trying to work his way forward. The big guns in their time trials, if they do well, they start down the back of the heats. We see smoke coming off everyone's right rears here now. Perennial front row starter Ricky Maiolo in the TRG 24 on his way to yet another heat race win.
Yeah, Maiolo now 5 for 5 with Enzed World Series Sprint Cars to start 2013, 2014. Impressive stuff, at least in the heat races, but the problem is he's coming from the front row, meaning his point score is not all that great.
Gary Brazier's dad, Steve, doing an excellent job on the spanners. That 21 car was really squatting on the racetrack then. It's going forward. We'll take a break and come back with more heat race action and our Hog's Breath Cafe Tech Grill. Welcome back to Enzed World Series Sprint Cars at the beautiful Borderline Speedway in Mount Gambier. Round 3 of Speedway and some frantic heat race action on a track that is quickly taking rubber here, Johnny.
Yeah, the track is getting very, very sticky. It's going to make it difficult to pass, although lightning fast. Earlier action, though, 3 wide for a moment at least.
Brad Sweet there with Adam Seeley and James McFadden. Now, James carrying a bit of damage to the top wing, and the reason for that we're about to have a look at right now. You just saw the 45 of Luttrell turn. Brazier got involved, Seeley moved up track, and James's emergency exit was cut off. In the end, Pester getting a good win.
And McFadden, a great job to charge back to the top 5 as we look at the grid for our next heat race. And at the back of the field, some big names. Kyle Hurst starting 8th, Shane Stewart 9th, and Stephen Lyons from outside row 5.
Almost 50 cars here tonight for the 3rd round of Enzed World Series Sprint Car Speedway. And Brent Kratzman, the Queenslander, good to have him here on the show. Andrew Wright leading away into turn 1. We go 3 wide. Nick Lacey making his 2013-2014 debut with us. He ran the entire series with us last year.
Ryan Jones trying to make something happen in the middle of the racetrack and actually gets a bit of a bite coming out of turn 4. He'll come after Lacey on the top.
Glenn Sutherland from Mount Gambier to the 2nd spot as we take a look at the PRP Engineering number 10 of Kyle Hurst, driving for Victorian owner and driver Michael Cunningham. Look at Jones. Cuts down to the bottom, picks up the spot on Kratzman, who tries to fight back. You've got Lacey in the Karcher cleaning equipment, number 26. Hurst makes it stick and puts a beautiful slider on Kratzman.
Again, we're seeing the tire smoke off of Kratzman's car and a little bit of smoke from Stephen Lyons as well. Lyons with the left front over the gutter on the inside of the racetrack, trying to get by Kratzman.
It's his hometown. He's got a lot of fan support. Kratzman bangs the wall, but somehow pulls out of that. Lyons. We see Stephen Lyons to the right of your screen in that number 3, coming after third-generation racer Nick Lacey, a man who caught on fire at this round last year.
Lyons hugs the bottom out of turn 2, works down the backstretch into turn 3. Again, the traction at a premium here with the rubber down on the racetrack. You can see him nearly pull the front end up off the ground. A lot of tire smoke there.
They are smoking these big right rear tyres big time. That is Hurst in the black. In fact, that's Luttrell, the Tasmanian, in the 45. So Kurt's having a pretty good run right now as Lyons comes up on Lacey. Look at this. It's not good if you're a car owner.
Not good if you're a car owner, and if you're a driver, you have to worry about how much smoke comes off of that tire, because the more smoke means the more rubber you're actually burning off of the tread.
Watching the boys working towards the end of this heat race right now. Lyons, you can just see to the left, fellow South Australian and Mount Gambier racer Glenn Sutherland in the Gambier Earth Movers number 20, figuring pretty strongly in this one as well.
Yeah, Sutherland on strong out in front of the field as the laps wind down. Andrew Wright, the Hitachi 78, very, very strong out in front of the field. Not much of a challenge here at all.
Good job for Andrew over Glenn Sutherland in second. Ryan Jones was strong for third. Hurst got up to fourth, then Lacey and Lyons. Wow, they're going to have to think about doing something with this racetrack right now. It is taking plenty of rubber.
Shane Stewart crosses 7th, Brent Kratzman 8th, Randy Hannigan in 9th. Looking at the points after round 1 of heat race action, Joker player Luke Dillon by 2 over James McFadden. Let's get downstairs to Bryony.
Well, from 47 cars, we're down to 46 with Jeremy Cross out for the rest of the night. It was a lucky break for Australian 1 James McFadden, just a top wing and a side nerf bar being replaced on the number 1 machine. But the talk of the heats was tyres. Let's have a look here. This is actually the right rear from Kyle Hurst's US 10 machine. After 10 laps, you can see there is no rubber left on that at all compared to a brand new American racer right rear here. This one, of course, belongs to Luke Dillon. Luke, starting to play the Joker card tonight. An interesting strategic move. Why?
Well, you're allowed to do it after your time trial. So with top time trial, it's probably a good time to do it. Obviously on the speed week, it's a big risk because there's a lot of cars, and there's going to be rounds with less cars. But the way last night went and the way the week's been going, we're top points now, and we should be able to capitalise on it.
Gee, it was a risky move in that first heat for you. I saw you almost slip out of control there. They are grading the track before the second round of heat, so that's good news for everyone.
Yeah, in the summertime it's hard to keep the moisture in the track, and they try and make the track even for time trials, and if they make it too wet, the people out early won't be able to put a good time on. So it's a bit of a side effect of our system, but they're grading it now and it should be good.
Sprint car parts serve 2 purposes. They need to be built for performance, but they also need to be easily interchangeable. There's one part in particular that fits that build perfectly, and it's the focus of today's Hog's Breath Tech Grill. I'm talking about front ends. To be fair, the front end isn't just one part, it's closer to 10. It does, however, come as one big assembly that the teams carry around already put together. It consists of an axle made of chrome moly, radius rods for steering, 2 hubs which the wheels connect to, and a left front brake made of titanium. All up it weighs just 12 kilos and is responsible for holding, steering and stopping the front wheels. The front end is bolted to the chassis in just 4 places. It has a 5th connection to the steering assembly, 2 more for the shock absorbers. The final thing to connect is the front brake. This snaps together in seconds with a brake line that is already bled with fluid, so there's no need to bleed or pump the brakes. Finally, you just need some wheels and you're rolling, literally. Now, the rule with anything light is that it's usually easy to break, and that rule applies to front ends. Instead of trying to fix them, it's easier just to change them. And thanks to those quick connection points, the teams can do this with staggering speed. I saw a great example of this with Robbie Farr in Adelaide. After this awkward bingle, Farr's crew were afforded a brief window to change the front end. They wasted no time in ripping the old one out, feeding through a new one with one wheel already connected to save time, bolting it to the chassis, shocks and steering with high-speed rattle guns, clipping on the new brake line, throwing on the left front wheel. Miraculously, in just 3 frantic minutes, the boys had Farr heading back out for the restart. Because they're so quick to change, a broken front end doesn't necessarily mean an end to your night, but with a $2 grand price tag, you don't want to go breaking them every night.
Coming up after the break, there's more heat racing from Borderline, and we pop the cork on Mount Gambier's favourite son in our Amadio Wines Open Red. Welcome back to Enzed World Series Sprint Cars at Borderline Speedway Mount Gambier. Luke Dillon was quick time again for Carline Mufflers. He's also playing the Joker card.
Along the way, it's amazing who you meet and how things happen. We had a dream, and I never thought there would ever be in a sprint car. And I remember sitting on the hill watching them guys, and you just think, wow. And then you really don't believe it at the time, but it sort of sinks in. It's pretty good. Well, I'd like to obviously run good this year in the World Series and try and have as good a year as we can. To win it, you have to be so consistent, and it just shows you night after night how tough it is. So to win that would mean a great deal to everyone involved. Yeah, I'm obviously happy to live in Mount Gambier. I like it. It's a little bit smaller and a little bit more laid back. There's no traffic jams or anything around here. A lot of fans and that come around. They get to know you and everything else. It's really good. I like racing here. When I stepped on the sprint cars, there's probably a lot of pressure early on that you shouldn't really take much notice of, but unfortunately you do. I'm probably a little bit shy in a way. Like I just sort of stick to myself and just try and concentrate on the job at hand and try and let all that stuff go on by. So it mean a lot, to win at Borderline, and hopefully one day we can get there.
While Stephen Lyons is the man these days, it was the great man Bill Barrows who was the king of Mount Gambier for many years.
Barrows now part of the team that completely reworked Borderline Speedway after round one of the heats, gave us much better track conditions as we went into round number 2. And we'll take a look at some highlights here, including Darren Molyneux getting in to Kurt Luttrell and sending Luttrell upside down, but not really his fault. It started when a car slowed right in front of them.
Yeah, that's Will Carroll to the left in the number 29. The car jumped out of gear. Molyneux had nowhere to go. Luttrell checked up, and unfortunately the 45 car went over, and a little bit of damage to that number 45. His mum and dad own the car. It's a family-based operation.
Grid for our final heat race of the evening. Look toward the middle and back of the pack in this one. Randy Hannigan, Robbie Farr, Brooke Tatnell, Shane Stewart trying to make their way forward.
Yeah, there is Brooke in that number 2 alongside the number 7, that black and red Milwaukee entry of Shane Stewart. A man who was born in Oklahoma but these days lives in the same town that Jeff Gordon originated from, Pittsburgh in Indiana. He's hoping to charge forward. Robbie Farr in front, and Jamie McInnes, the Northern Territorian, in that green number 4.
10 laps, and again, points on the line. Final chance for these drivers to try to lock themselves into that main event and perhaps even the Amadio Wines Top 8 shootout.
This is the home of the annual King's Challenge as well, a massive event that always occurs on the eve of the Warrnambool Classic. Down into turn 1, we run. Andrew Wright, your leader, but look how busy it is out of 2. 3 wide with Robbie Farr right through the middle.
Farr made it work in between Brooke Tatnell and King, and now sets his sights on Lacey into turn 1.
Watching Tatnell work the low side, middle of our screens right there. There he is, the Toyota Parts and Accessories number 2, last night's feature race winner, and the team have got their tails in the air now.
Tatnell picked up the win at Murray Bridge, and now to the inside of Lacey. They'll go wheel to wheel. Lacey's got momentum, but Tatnell's still strong down the backstretch. Big slide job into 3 and 4.
Nice run from Brooke. Lacey has to check up and reassess his options. Track is vastly different to how we saw it in the first group of heats, Johnny.
Yeah, they've done a great job getting rid of the rubber, putting moisture back into the racing surface, and giving us multiple lanes of action.
Portland's Adam King right there in the middle in that yellow and black number 48 as he chases Lacey. In behind there is Shane Stewart, and Territorian Jamie McInnes doing a pretty good job to get some good car speed as Farr comes after Randy Hannigan out of turn number 2.
Farr and Hannigan wheel to wheel. Look at Robbie Farr working the wheel, barely completes the slide job into turn 3. Nice stuff.
The guys gave each other just enough room. A bit of respect always helps. Brooke Tatnell coming after Randy as well, and he moves by the pint-sized Californian, who also these days is based in Indiana.
Tatnell pulling away quickly now, but still some 10 car lengths behind Robbie Farr. That's the race for 4th.
Big effort from the Muir Motorsport team to bring Hannigan team backs out of Western Australia running a Murphy chassis, and Brooke clearing out on that cool as he tries to run down our leaders right here. Andrew Wright and Ricky Maiolo running first and second.
And Andrew Wright trying to end the winning streak of Ricky Maiolo in heat race competition. Maiolo 5 for 5 coming into this one.
Here's the Hitachi number 78, another family-based operation, as is the guy behind him, the Maiolo family. So well done, Wright over Maiolo in that second spot. Back to Jackson Delamont, Robbie Farr, Brooke Tatnell. Hannigan held on for 6th over Lacey, Adam King, McInnes and Shane Stewart, your top 10. So after our second group of heats, James McFadden leads the points from Luke Dillon playing that Joker card. Good to see Jamie Veal inside the top 8, along with Sean Dobson as well. A lot of guys in the B main, though, are going to have to work very hard.
The heats are complete here in Mount Gambier, and our number 1 man so far, James McFadden, looking very good after the heats, but we're looking forward to seeing young Jordan Brazier heading off to a B main tonight. He'll be one of 5 contracted World Series drivers. How are you feeling right now? You've got a lot of drivers to pass if you're going to make that transfer.
Yeah, in the B main there's a lot of good drivers. Like, I think Shane Stewart started on the front row, and you got Jackson. He's probably one of my biggest competitors in this series. Kind of started at the same time, so I'll try as good as I can and try and make the inversion.
I know that the two of you have this amazing rivalry because you're such good mates, but is there a little part of you that just is only thinking, get around Jackson, get around Jackson?
I guess there is a little bit, but you know, if I get around him, I get around him. If he gets around me, so be it. And there won't be any dirty driving for sure, and we're good mates.
Yes, a tasty B main thanks to Hog's Breath Cafe is just moments away, and then of course our A main is up as well.
He's a local legend, Stephen Lyons, and the subject of tonight's Amadio Wines Open Red segment. We're also looking forward to seeing Stephen Lyons in our Amadio Wines Top 8 shootout. It's the time trials to sort out the top 4 rows for tonight's NZ A main. And how about this guy? Brad Sweet, straight off the plane, and the American hotshot goes to number 1 in the gold shootout. What an absolute superstar. And Luke Dillon trying to maximise his Joker card. He'll be doing that off the front row alongside him. Tatnell out of 3, and James McFadden, his best starting position for the year so far. He'll be off the second row. So an interesting A main lining up for later in the evening, but we still have to find the 6 guys to tack onto the back, so it's time for the Hog's Breath Cafe B main.
This will be an entertaining race, and as we know, there's plenty of emotion riding on B mains these days. We saw a corker last night at Murray Bridge Speedway where Ryan Jones and Ian Matson got fairly animated.
Taking a look from the back of Dylan Jenkins, number 51, and he's the driver starting on the bubble, that 6th and final transfer spot when we go green.
Now, 2 guys transferred through from the C main into the B main, and they were Nick Lacey, of course, and Territorian Jamie McInnes. They'll now start from the very back of this B main. And this is a tough race. Have a look at the 2 guys on screen right there, and they're starting on the 3rd row of the grid.
Looks like we're just about set for the green. Daniel Pesca and Shane Stewart side-by-side action underway at the Borderline Speedway. It's Pesca out to the early lead. Stewart down low, challenged by Jackson Delamont, and Ian Madsen working down low.
Oh, trouble back in the field. Maiolo spins the TRG Transport, number 24.
Things got really hectic on that start. Maiolo just outside the transfer when the green flag waved. Let's take a look from Dylan Jenkins' car. Well, Wade Andre, we talked about how desperate these drivers are to try to move into the A feature. You saw it right there.
And you could hear how hard they are on the throttle and how they have to breathe it on the slick spots. Pesca to lead away. More. Stewart throws a speculator down low, but Daniel nails it coming off the turn. There is the bright yellow number 20 of Glenn Sutherland. In the middle is Delamont. Probably not somewhere you want to be caught in the middle of the racetrack right now.
Delamont and Sutherland going at it for the transfer position. Delamont up high. Track's wide now. It's cushions right up against the wall. Here comes Jenkins to the inside of Sutherland.
Can't make it stick though. They slide back up to the wall. That cushion against the wall, that rail of dirt where the boys lean the right rear on it. Good racing right here. Keller and Dylan Jenkins, pretty good mates. The 2 South Aussies charging hard.
You can see Keller's car a little loose as he slides up the racetrack and catches that cushion, straightens him back out, and again loose off at turn 4 until he gets to the cushion right up against the wall.
Great shot just then as they work turn 3 and 4. We have a look at Dylan Jenkins out of Bordertown in South Australia, trying to chase down Mount Gambier's Glenn Sutherland, a big South Aussie presence. How about Brad Keller so far, Johnny? Doing an excellent job in Speed Week so far.
Keller coming off that runner-up finish on opening night at Speedway City in Adelaide. And at the top left of the screen, we'll watch Shane Stewart in the Milwaukee Power Tools number 7, the Monty Motorsports car, trying to make it happen down low.
Pesca in that number 27, working his way up towards traffic. That is Jordan Brazier. As we see Jenkins up high, see the sparks off the curb as Keller slides him. They almost made contact. It was very close there. Again, Keller pulls it back across the racetrack. They're coming up on Sutherland now. Oh, there's lap cars everywhere.
Jordan Brazier right in front of leader Daniel Pesca. Pesca is going to try to slide him on the inside, but Brazier's got the momentum in the field, bunching up behind the leader in traffic.
Riding on board with Daniel Pesca's Gawler Farm Machinery J&J right out through the cockpit. Great shot there. Pesca now finally gets by Jordan Brazier. He was an eternity behind that lap car then, Johnny.
Got to be breathing a sigh of relief now as he puts a little distance between himself and the rest of the field. Meanwhile, Jenkins and Sutherland still going at it. Big bicycle by Sutherland there.
I think he got the wall. I think Glenn Sutherland actually smacked the wall, the right side of his car then. Keller slides up and Sutherland keeps the size 9s. Buried to the firewall in that number 20.
Watching the battle for the final transfer spot between Brad Keller in the 19, Sutherland in the 20. Big slide job again, but not enough room for Keller to make the pass.
And you just see a little bit of flame out of the exhaust when they lift off the throttle momentarily to get another bit of purchase. Sutherland knows his way around this racetrack. He was crew chief by Bill Barrows for several seasons as well. Gambier Earthmovers is a long-time sponsor of the legendary Bill Barrows when he raced.
Sutherland and Keller both go to the top side in 1 and 2. Keller's got a little bit of a run down the backstretch. They'll go side by side into 3 and 4. Keller slides up the racetrack. Oh, contact on the front stretch.
There was nothing really in that. It was only that Keller pulled a wheel stand at an inopportune moment, but it put Sutherland's spot back, and now you see Adam King buying in on that with 1 lap to go. Oh, that is brutal. Sutherland will be filthy about that. It was just the wheel stand that unsettled Keller's car that forced the contact then. Wow, and as you can see on the cool down, still plenty of feeling between those two. Bridie's going to be in the pits. I don't know whether Sutherland's overly happy with Brad Keller.
Well, series regulars Daniel Pesca and Shane Stewart transferring through to tonight's A feature, but the battle for that final transfer position, Brad Keller, gee whiz, you were in the thick of it.
Yeah, we certainly were up to our elbows, and we really wanted to get through into the feature because we've been running pretty good on Speed Week, and we didn't want to miss out on all those points.
First of all, the battle with Dylan Jenkins, and then just a few laps from the end, Glenn Sutherland throws a spanner into the works.
Yeah, it's definitely, everyone wanted to get that last transfer, and it's pretty important that we do. It's a very racy track out there at the moment, and I think it should make a very, very good A-mean.
You're using the medium compound tyre at the moment. Do you think any teams will gamble and use the harder option tyre available to them?
I doubt it. I think there's too much track up top, and I don't think that'll wear the tyre enough to warrant it, but you never know. I don't know everything, so there might be some other guys that have other opinions, but we're certainly going to go for the MC2 mid-compound.
Well, Brad Keller breathes a sigh of relief, but Luke Dillon's team don't have that luxury. We're hearing that they're changing an engine right now in the pits. Can't wait for our Enzed A-main. It's coming up after this break. Welcome back to Enzed World Series Sprint Cars from Borderline Speedway in Mount Gambier. It's round 3 of Speed Week and drama for the Luke Dillon team. Johnny Gibson, after the top 8 shootout, they've had to replace a motor in the number 26.
Yeah, the engine that carried them to their 3rd consecutive Fast Time Award out, a new engine under the hood as we get set for 35 laps of green flag racing.
The track has been freshly worked as well to give the guys a few more racing options. They've scratched around the surface to bring up a bit of moisture. You can clearly see on the onboard down low near the curb how they've scratched this track to get more moisture and more bite for the guys.
Well, Brad Sweet makes his Enzed World Series Sprint Cars debut for the season, and he's going to go from the pole position looking to become the 10th different American to win a World Series round here at Borderline.
Great shot then of Gary Brazier over the bonnet as we take a look at your grid right now. Kyle Hurst is having a strong night tonight, isn't he? Luke Dillon and Brad Sweet, though, on the front row. Brooke Tatnell and James McFadden. Stephen Lyons, Darren Molyneux too. Great job for Molly. Someone else you can't really underestimate is Sean Dobson, driving the Harry Drostio number 36, former Australian number 2, hard-charging Tasmanian. As we go 4 wide here at Borderline Speedway, Mount Gambier.
Anticipation building, crowd on their feet, and for the drivers, they get pumped up for this as well.
Let's face it too, Brad Sweet in his own proven race-winning equipment tonight.
Brad, the winner of the Kings Royal at the Eldora Speedway in July, they shipped the car right from there over to Australia. That's the car that sits on the pole this evening.
Right alongside Luke Dillon, who's desperate to get himself a win. Lucas felt the last 2 nights he's been fast enough. And of course, he led almost every lap of the main event last night at Murray Bridge, only to run 3rd eventually. Some great shots here. Across the bonnet, lights are out. Time to get after it. $10,000 on the line right here. Californian Brad Sweet alongside South Aussie Luke Dillon. Lap 1 of 35, and look at McFadden already.
McFadden thought about trying to go to the middle, now cuts to the bottom of the racetrack. He won't grab the lead, but he'll get the runner-up spot as they make their way down the backstretch.
Lyons coming after Tatnell. Molyneux floating up high in that number 77 Palm Motorsports GF1. Dillon coming back now. Your race leader is Brad Sweet. And what a drive from him early.
Nearly some contact there between Lyons and Tatnell as they battle for the 4th spot.
There was contact and it was fairly significant. I think Tatnell's got some problems. Oh! Eagle! There is the onboard right now of Brooke Tatnell's car, and Eagle ran into the back of him when Tatnell went to the infield, so clearly something was wrong with the number 2.
And for Matt Eagle, a bad break there. Tatnell climbing out of the car. Eagle actually kept the engine fired, but for Eagle, the caution light did not come on until after he had crossed the line, so Matt Eagle's going to have to go to the rear of the field.
Watch Matt, he gets a great run coming off the turn. Tatnell stricken, number 2, can't steer. It heads to the infield. This is the critical point there. When he comes back on the racetrack, the lights are only then yellow. That is what's going to hurt Matt Eagle. Here's a look at the replay right now. There was the contact between Lyons and Tatnell. Look at the left front wheel. It is clearly stricken right there.
Yeah, the front end broken on Tatnell's car, and a very disappointed 8-time World Series champion watching from the infield.
Wow, drama here at Mount Gambier as Sweet leads away from Dillon, Lyons and McFadden. Tatnell will be filthy. Lyons goes to the bottom. McFadden comes after him. Championship-wise, that was a brutal blow for Tatnell.
On the top side of the speedway, James McFadden turns underneath down the front stretch, and nearly contact again into turn 1. And really, McFadden had to get out of the throttle as he got up near the wall. That allows Lyons to pull away by 8 car lengths.
Very racy racetrack right now. The guys have options down low. They have options up high as well. Ian Madsen, just watching him on the low side of the top part of our screen right there. He goes by Dylan Jenkins. There's the battle with Brad Keller. Again, like they did in the B main. Keller and Jenkins side by side.
Once again, Keller on the top, Jenkins running the low portion of the racetrack. As we go on to lap 5 of 35, still very early on in this one, Brad Sweet out in front.
This is going to be an interesting battle, isn't it? You've got Brad Sweet, the Kings Royal winner, leading the defending World Series champ, James McFadden. Going to be very interested to see if J-Mac has the speed to go after him. Shane Stewart on board with the Milwaukee number 7, and we're watching behind Daniel Pesca. This kid, I say kid, he's 28 years of age, but he's got some talent.
Yeah, Brad Sweet out in front of the field and working the traffic now. The top groove is becoming prominent now as Sweet whirls down the backstretch in that high race towing number 99.
Remember, Luke Dillon running behind him is carrying the Joker card tonight. He can double his points haul in this main event. Whoa, look at this. Sweet really charging as he comes up on the 51 of Dylan Jenkins.
Jenkins goes a lap down as Sweet completes the slider out of turn 4. Now, Dylan will go to the bottom of the speedway, but can't make the slider work. That allows Stephen Lyons to close.
This is a great battle lurking here. We saw one of the best main events in many events last night at Murray Bridge. This looks like being very much the same. Dylan coming up on Dylan Jenkins, just to make the distinction right there. Sweet, your leader. There he is coming out of that turn. Tides her up across the main straightaway. Just watching McFadden. Now McFadden the slider on Dylan for second.
McFadden up to the cushion, gets by Dylan. Dylan had to get on the brakes momentarily, and now Lyons will come after Dylan in 3 and 4.
What a battle this is. Tremendous stuff down the bottom side of your screen. You can see the battle playing out from an onboard perspective. Up on the left-hand side, you can see that as well as Lyons comes after Dylan. The onboard camera on Luke Dillon's car to the top left.
More than a third of the way through this one now. Brad Sweet continues to lead it, but the best battle on the speedway, the race between Luke Dillon and Stephen Lyons, and they're both trying to catch up with that number 1 of James McFadden.
Luke Dillon carrying our Enzed onboard camera and really giving us some great shots as we see Lyons working very hard right now to run him down. And look at the guy starting to move up track even further. That cushion is right against the wall, Johnny.
Yeah, there's a lot of moisture up there. It's still pretty slick on the bottom. Here comes Dylan to the inside. Oh, slides up, can't make it work. Into the wall. Big time trouble in turn 4 involving 3 of the top 5.
Wow, and Anderson spins around. This is the onboard camera off the back of Lyons' car. Dylan went for a big slide job. He overcommitted it, and James McFadden, he almost went in there because he was overly committed as well. Let's look at it again on the replay. Dylan throws it in here. McFadden knows it's coming. He stays on the gas. Oh, man. McFadden got the wall hard as well.
And no place for Stephen Lyons to go. An innocent victim there. Almost 2 separate accidents there, really. McFadden and Dylan both onto the cushion, but no contact between the two.
Incredible stuff down here on the infield. Darren Molyneux managed to squirt through as well. Bryony Ingerson's down amongst all this drama here at Borderline.
The lap car, Dylan Jenkins, he sped up a lot once Brad Sweet passed him. So, you know, young James got me on a failed attempt to pass him, and when I saw that James hadn't made it past, I took my chance, but I went in so hard because, you know, he recovered from it so well and just couldn't pull it up. So, hit the fence, rolled over, and that's that.
Oh, you can hear that impact as Dylan gets into the wall, and McFadden tries to get away, but he'll come to a stop as well.
You can hear how hard both guys were on the throttle. Look at this drama on the infield. Lyons trying to arm wrestle the front wing off the car. Can he restart now if that's the only damage that they have? James McFadden is out. The top 4 are out. Let's go down to Bryony on the infield.
Well, as you can see, Stephen Lyons jumping back into his car. He's removed the front wing. He's going to restart this race without it. Unfortunately, though, for Luke Dillon, he took the joker card tonight. He took the gamble, and it has not paid off.
Certainly more drama right now than most guys know what to do with. We'll take a break and come back on the other side of this from Borderline Speedway. Hold on tight, folks. Welcome back to Borderline Speedway, Mount Gambier. Drama here. Stephen Lyons being told by the World Series Sprint Cars officials he cannot restart, Johnny.
Yeah, the rule is you can't use any sort of tool on the car. Apparently Stephen Lyons has, and so he's stuck in the infield as we get set to go back to green. And just to point out, the joker card that Luke Dillon played this evening may actually work out in his favor. He crashes out early, but he'll still get double those 17th place points.
Look at Dobson here, Sean Dobson! 2 cars on the outside of the Warrnambool Glassworks entry. Oh my goodness, what a drive from Sean Dobson. And now Brazier coming on far down the bottom, and Hurst. This race has stepped up the intensity now.
Hurst takes a peek to the inside of Robbie Farr, but now has to go back to the cushion in 3 and 4. Farr pulls away by 4 car lengths.
Sean Dobson, a man who was born without a fear gland. This number 36 guy will get up and rail it every time. Hard-charging Tasmanian right up on the cushion. Didn't he make the most of that restart?
Yeah, Dobson very, very strong on the top side as we went back to green. He finished 11th here last year, but really looking to improve on it this time as Jamie Veal goes down to the bottom of the racetrack, one of the few drivers making it work low at this stage of the event.
Great shot here on board with Daniel Pesca. The Gawler Farm Machinery entry, they crawling out of the corners. They're so sideways with this slick racetrack. Down on the bottom side as well. Someone's starting to make that work. It's Ian Madsen coming into this, and you've got Hurst. Oh, Pesca. A little infield mowing just then as Murcott comes after him.
Yeah, Murcott to the inside now as Pesca goes back to the top. Murcott and Pesca side by side in traffic down the backstretch.
Hard to believe the top 4 championship contenders are standing shoulder to shoulder on the infield. Watching out the back of the Shane Stewart, USA number 7. Now, here comes your race leader, Brad Sweet.
Sweet out in front and not being challenged at this point. That car is really, really strong. It's got to be a good feeling for Brad Sweet to come to Australia and jump into a car that he knows works so very well.
And what a tribute to a couple of brothers from Broken Hill, Josh and Isaac Roos, who for a couple of seasons have been bringing out very talented Americans. What a package they've given him. His own package, transplanted it across Australia and said, get after it and get us a World Series win.
Trying to put Shane Stewart a lap down. Those two have been side by side numerous times back in the States, but this time it's Sweet trying to lap the driver of the Milwaukee Tools number 7.
We've now got about 8 laps left to go. Just watching how Stewart does have some good car speed. Watching the Sweet can't actually get up alongside him to run with him. Just up ahead there is Keller as well. She's a racy little bull ring borderline.
It certainly is, and Brad Sweet also trying to be fairly careful. He knows that he's got a decent-sized lead now. His crew will be signaling to him. He'll be able to tell that he needs to be careful in the closing stages of this one.
Madsen and Jamie Veal. We just saw that battle up to the top left-hand corner as Veal gets closer to his native Warrnambool. He's a lot more experience around these parts. This is one of his better results so far. We're working 5 laps to go, and your Enzed World Series Sprint Cars. And what a championship battle we'll have leaving this place as we head to Avalon Raceway. Robbie Farr on screen in the number 7, chasing Gary Brazier. That's for about 4th place right now. 2 of the real big gains of the sport over many years.
Brazier and Farr continue to go at it. Farr right on the back bumper of the Capalaba Wreckers number 21, but can't do anything down low. Has to follow Brazier around the top of the corner.
Sweet, isn't it? Just sweet. The way this guy drives, the way he's aptly named. The number 99 high race towing entry, the GF1 chassis or the TI-22 with 2 laps to go. They're not going to catch him, Johnny.
Now Brad Sweet is gone in this one as long as he can stay out of trouble for the remaining lap and a half, and now 1 lap.
What a moment for the Roos brothers. A couple of quiet, unassuming blokes from Broken Hill are about to get their first World Series win, courtesy of a small in stature but big in talent Californian. Sweet wins from a great drive from Dobson, and well done Molyneux. Darren Molyneux, we didn't see much of him, but a top 3 for Molly.
And at the very closing stages, Robbie Farr with the wicked slide job to take 4th from Gary Brazier. But Brad Sweet headed to victory lane for the first time in Enzed World Series Sprint Cars action.
Great result for Grant Anderson in 6th. Jamie Veal 7th. Madsen, a big charge from him to 8th. Murcott and Pesca rounding out your top 10. Wow, that was a very, very busy race, particularly through the top 10 situation right there, Johnny.
Yeah, and Brad Sweet's going to be down in victory lane, joined by Bryony Ingerson. That's a happy driver.
And there's 3 who really aren't.
Well, as the front runners in the World Series Sprint Cars Championship stand in the infield and watch on, Brad Sweet, you steal the win. Well done.
Yeah, I tell you what, that was actually pretty tough. I haven't been in a sprint car in a little over a month, and it just started wearing on me a little at the end there. I was making some mistakes, but I knew it was really hard to pass. Just that top group got so worked in, and Shane was doing just a good job not messing up. So I figured as long as I just kind of held my line, you know, I'd be tough to get by.
Well, the championship situation sees Luke Dillon now assume the point position. That Joker card really did, in the end, play out pretty well for him, Johnny.
It did for Luke Dillon. Unfortunately for Stephen Lyons, he loses the point lead, but he'll get some hospitality out of this at least with the whole hog from Hog's Breath Cafe.
Exactly right. We head to Avalon Raceway in Lara. The championship protagonists are the same, it's just the order has been slightly mixed up. We look forward to seeing you at Avalon. Enjoy your company then.